Here are 35 sentences about the culinary history of South Carolina. South Carolina's culinary history is deeply rooted in its colonial past, where European settlers brought with them their own distinct cooking traditions. The state's early economy was driven by rice cultivation, which led to a diet rich in seafood, vegetables, and grains. In the Lowcountry region, Gullah Geechee cuisine emerged as a unique fusion of African, European, and Native American flavors. African influences on South Carolina cuisine include okra, hot peppers, and smoky flavors common in traditional West African dishes. The state's rice fields also supported the growth of indigo plants, which were used to dye fabrics. Native American tribes like the Catawba and Edisto introduced European settlers to various crops and cooking methods. Lowcountry cooks combined seafood with wild game, creating hearty stews and soups. The influx of enslaved Africans brought new ingredients and techniques, such as okra's use in stews. African slaves also used rice, sweet potatoes, and corn to make porridge-like dishes called hop and john. In the 18th century, English colonists introduced their own traditions, including roast beef, boiled ham, and pickled vegetables. The French Huguenot influence on South Carolina cuisine can be seen in the use of herbs like thyme and rosemary. Cuisine from France also included dishes like coq au vin, which became popularized during the colonial era. During the American Revolution, food shortages led to creative cooking methods using scraps and leftovers. The introduction of sugar from the Caribbean transformed traditional desserts, making them sweeter and more indulgent. Sweet potatoes became a staple crop in South Carolina, used in both sweet and savory dishes. Crawfish, introduced by French colonists, were often served boiled or steamed with butter and cornmeal. Seafood was abundant on South Carolina's coastlines, where shellfish like shrimp and oysters were prized for their flavor. In the Lowcountry, cooks made use of the bounty from marshes, forests, and rivers to create dishes like Frogmore stew. The influence of Scottish Highlanders also led to the development of traditional Scottish dishes in South Carolina. Scottish settlers brought with them their love of lamb, which became a staple in many southern households. In Charleston's marketplaces, vendors sold fresh produce like okra, sweet potatoes, and squash. Gullah Geechee cooks made use of wild ingredients like berries, greens, and nuts to supplement their diets. During the Civil War era, rationing and food shortages led to creative adaptations in traditional recipes. The development of a distinct Gullah Geechee cuisine was influenced by African American traditions from various parts of the United States. Lowcountry cooks continued to use seafood with wild game in stews and soups during the war years. After the Civil War, South Carolina cuisine experienced a resurgence with the growth of new agricultural industries like cotton and timber production. In the early 20th century, Gullah Geechee cooking was recognized as an important part of South Carolina's cultural heritage. The development of roadside restaurants in Charleston's historic district helped popularize traditional dishes from the area. Fried chicken became a staple in many Southern households, including those in South Carolina. Charleston's influence on cuisine has been passed down through generations of Lowcountry cooks. In 2016, the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor was established to preserve and promote this unique culinary tradition. The Lowcountry's rich history is reflected in its cuisine, where African American traditions have blended with European and Native American influences. Gullah Geechee cooks continue to innovate and adapt traditional recipes using modern ingredients and techniques. In South Carolina, traditional cooking methods like smoking and curing remain an important part of the state's culinary heritage. Today, Many restaurants throughout South Carolina celebrate their connection to Gullah Geechee cuisine through creative menus and historical storytelling. To preserve this unique cultural tradition, organizations continue to promote education and workshops on Gullah Geechee cooking techniques.